Welcome to the Chino City Council Candidate Forum, brought to you by the Chino Valley Chamber of Commerce and our sponsors. The purpose of this forum tonight is to allow voters an opportunity to learn more about the candidates running for Chino Mayor and City Council. It is our goal that the information provided this evening will assist voters in making more informed decisions as they cast their votes. My name is Will Fleet. I'm publisher of the Chino Valley Champion newspaper and board member of the Chino Valley Chamber of Commerce. I have the privilege of serving as your moderator this evening. Eric Hasanoff, president of GEM Mortgage and past chairman of the board and current board member of the Chino Valley Chamber of Commerce, will serve as our timekeeper. To accommodate social distancing, our candidate forum will be separated into two sections, the mayoral race and the city council race. The format for this evening includes a 2-minute opening statement from each candidate, a question and answer session, and a 2-minute closing statement. There are two candidates running for mayor, and it turns out we only have one here tonight. Tonight we have Mayor Eunice Ulloa, and while there will be an opponent on the ballot, Mayor Ulloa is running unopposed tonight. So before we get started, though, we would also like to thank our sponsors for the candidate forum and our Chairman's Circle sponsors for your support to help facilitate our candidate forums. Thank you to SoCal Gas for sponsoring our candidate forums, and thank you Health Service Alliance, Team Lolly, City of Chino Hills, Champion Newspapers, Walmart, Waste Management, Ontario International Airport, TransTech Engineers, Inc., Pac Lab, Town Place Suites by Marriott, Ontario, Chino Hills, Southern California Edison, Quadruple Construction, Shell Roofing Solutions, Tri-County Association of Realtors, Apollo Insurance Services, State Farm with John Edgar, Hussman Corporation, Good Enough Travel, Golden One Mortgage, Accredited Tax and Financial Planners, Inc., Pacific Energy Network, Sycamore Academy, Chino Hills, KB Real Estate, and Chino Commercial Bank. Now, the opening statement can be 2 minutes or less. Our timekeeper, Eric, will keep you informed of the time remaining via the blue, green, yellow, and red cards. A blue card means there are 60 seconds remaining. The green card means 30 seconds. The yellow card means 10 seconds. The red card means stop. If you are in the middle of a sentence, you can complete the sentence and then please stop. So let's get on with the opening statement. Mayor Ulloa.
Okay, thank you very much. Good evening. My name is Eunice Ulloa. I was born in Pomona and I've lived in this valley my entire life. My husband Bob and I have been married for 45 years. Between the two of us, we have 6 children, 12 grandchildren, and 2 great-grandchildren. We're like the Brady Bunch. He has his, I have mine, and we have ours. I first became involved in Chino politics shortly after we moved to Chino in 1980 because of land use issues, and I've been involved ever since. I quickly realized that in order to protect what you cherish, you need to become involved, and so I did. I've had the honor of serving 1 year on the Planning Commission, over 19 years on the City Council, and 16 years as a mayor. My dream for Chino was, and still is, to build and maintain a balanced community where there is something for everyone, where you can rent a place to live, buy a condo, house, estate, or ranch. You can work here, own a business here, play here, shop here, go to college here, and even earn an MBA at University Hall. You can do it all and never leave town. We've worked hard to create a premier community that we can all be proud of. We've been through good times and bad, but the struggles have made us stronger and better, and for that we can be thankful. However, we're facing new challenges now created by the COVID pandemic. We're in uncharted territory, which makes it critically important for us to have experienced leadership so we can, once again, come out even stronger and better. Thank you for your trust and support. It's been an honor to serve this great community, and I would love to continue. So please vote for Eunice Ulloa on November 3rd.
Thank you very much. Now we'll move on to questions and answer segment of the program. To encourage candid responses and for fairness, the candidates have not received advance notification of the questions that will be asked this evening. The questions are a combination of those received in advance from the community and chamber members and those prepared by members of the chamber's legislative committee. You will have up to 60 seconds to answer each question. As we did earlier, Eric will monitor the time and the colored cards to help you stay on track. So let's begin with the first question. Mayor Ulloa, what are the top 3 issues facing our city and how would you address them?
Well, our first top issue is fiscal stability. This COVID obviously has hit our general fund. So in order to help resolve that issue, we need to encourage businesses to reopen or to locate here to replace the ones that have closed. That's the second priority, is helping our business community. Our third priority, my third priority, is public safety. We all want to live in a community where we're safe. We can walk the streets, go to the stores, drive our cars around without being afraid. We have a very well-funded police department which needs to be maintained. Training is very important. So those are the 3: fiscal stability, bring our businesses back, and increase businesses coming into our town to provide jobs, and then also safety, public safety.
Thank you. The next question is, what is your experience as it relates to the city of Chino and other related experience that makes you the best candidate to remain in your seat?
Well, having been involved for 35 years, I think I've experienced almost everything you can in our community. We've had tremendous growth. We've also had downturn times, which were very challenging, where we had to figure out how to fund the needs of our community. So you span 35 years and all the different instances that we've had through our community, the tremendous growth, population expansion, prison expansion, public safety issues, new technology coming into town. I've experienced all of those, and I think we need that going forward, especially to face the new challenges that we're facing now with the pandemic.
Thank you. And the next question, COVID-19 has affected our businesses. What would you do to reinvigorate business in Chino after COVID-19?
Well, interestingly enough, our COVID percentage seems to be pretty stable at 7%. The state and the county, as you know, have enforcement orders on closing things down. The city council did not take the emergency ordinances to our community to shut us down officially. What we're doing instead is educating people. So what we need to do is continue to encourage businesses to open up, of course, being very cautious and careful with social distancing and using masks and appropriate sanitation methods. We need to get back to living. We need our businesses to be open. Destroying the whole community is just crazy. So my position is open up, but be safe.
Thank you. The next question's about the general plan. How would you describe the general plan? Is it a living document or a standalone document not to be changed, and why?
The general plan is actually a living document, although it's our guideline for moving forward into the future. There are sections in the general plan that need to be updated. There were ideas that were implemented back in the 80s and the 90s that just weren't viable. For example, we thought, looking at other communities, that if we took approximately 600 feet deep on Central Avenue north of Francis, that we would get mixed use, where you would have businesses on the bottom and living quarters on the top, like some other communities have, and that has not come to fruition. So we need to relook at certain sections of the general plan and see what's more practical. But our community needs to be balanced. We do not need all one type of housing. We need a variety so that people moving through their life stages have places to locate within our community. But it is a living document, but the citizens have a say in our general plan, and that's critical.
Thank you. Remaining on the subject of housing, What are your thoughts on new housing projects that double or in some cases triple or quadruple existing guidelines for occupancy on a property?
That's a tough subject. We have zoning in place with the general plan. I believe that zoning needs to be adhered to. People move into neighborhoods and count on what their neighborhood is going to look like. I know the governor has now implemented laws, which I personally don't agree with, which is going to allow an explosion of housing. Housing needs to be balanced once again. Otherwise, you're going to have all one type of housing being built without the options for people moving through stages in their lives. We now lose people to our community because of that very issue. Right now, there are what they call RENA numbers that are being forced upon us, which is a great deal of a number of houses that are supposed to be built in the next 8 years. I don't think that's going to happen. The last 3 years, I believe last 5 years, I think we built a little over 3,000 housing units. We're supposed to build something like 6,900 in the next 8 years. Even in a booming economy, you're not going to do that.
Thank you. Please describe the fiscal budget of the city of Chino and how your role as mayor would be dealing with that budget.
There are different sections of our budget. We have a general fund, and then we have enterprise funds and specialty funds that fund things like water and sewer. Fees are collected, put into these funds, and that's the only thing that they can be used for. We have a general fund that this year is approximately $91 million. Our reserves right now are about 45 million, I believe, and I think by the end of this fiscal year, we'll be down to between 42 and 45 million on the reserves. The general fund funds things like police and fire, some street repair, some infrastructure. Of course, it funds all of the staff, our staffing levels. My position as mayor is no different than the other council members. We set policy and oversee the budget. The budget is brought to us at the beginning of the fiscal year, just before it, reviewed by all of the departments, and we adopt that. And that's the budget we try our best to adhere to throughout the fiscal year.
Thank you again. The next question is about broadband. What is your opinion on broadband access for the community?
I think it's a good idea. The problem is funding. Who's going to fund broadband for the entire community? Different businesses have internet that people can use when they're near those businesses. I think the school district is enacting a certain amount of internet. But the issue, it's a great idea, Will. The issue is funding. Who's going to fund that, oversee it, and maintain it? And that hasn't been resolved.
Okay. Thank you for that. The next question is about the role of the city council as it relates to crime. What is the role, in your view, of the city council?
We're tough on crime. We want the word to get out in the criminal realm. Stay out of Chino. We fund our police, I think, in a very well manner. They have excellent training, excellent equipment. Of course, there's budgetary limits, obviously. We apply for grants for certain special programs. But I think that council as a whole, speaking for our whole body, we are tough on crime. We want our community to be safe. That's one of the very critical issues in any community is safety, public safety.
Thank you. The next question is on traffic. Traffic congestion is a concern in the city. What thoughts do you have to address this concern?
Traffic is a reality wherever you go. We are in the process of improving several of the major streets down in the preserve. As you know, some of the infrastructure down there is improved as funding comes in, as development happens. We have plans that are being worked on to improve Pine Avenue and connect it to Highway 71. I think we're about 65% done on the design of that interchange. But traffic is reality. We cannot put up a moat around our community to keep outsiders out, so people use our community to get to their destination. We work very hard on signal synchronization to try to make traffic run as smoothly as possible. Some streets cannot be widened any longer or any wider than they already are. Example is the north part of Central Avenue. Unless you were to condemn all of the businesses up and down Central Avenue, there's no way to widen the streets. As you know, we created 3 lanes on each side, and they're a little bit substandard so that we could kind of squish in an extra lane. But traffic is something that we have to live with. I think people will eventually start using more of the Lyft and the Uber, which will get some cars off of our roadways, but we're not going to eliminate traffic.
Okay, let's move on to commercial property. Some commercial centers in Chino have not been maintained. They're poorly monitored and have lots of vacancies. As mayor, how would you reinvigorate these areas and bring business back? What resources, entities, and steps can you take?
We've been working with some of those properties that you're probably referring to, which is in North Chino, for many, many years. We work through the ICSC Shopping Center Convention to try to attract more businesses to those shopping centers. But quite frankly, the shopping center owners or managers are not interested in putting money into them. So it makes it very difficult. We can't use public funds to put into private property because that's illegal. It's a gift of public funds, and we can't do that. So our code enforcement attempts to follow up as much as possible in areas where there are violations of code enforcement. And we talk to the land management and the landowners as much as possible to encourage them to do something with their shopping centers. But I hope the public understands we don't control rents. They are privately owned. You know, they may be corporate owned, but they're privately owned property. We cannot go in and dictate to them who occupies their stores or how much they charge in rent. And some of them have raised the rent and actually forced people out. So it's an issue, but it is something that the city is constantly working on.
Next, we're going to revisit COVID-19. The pandemic has obviously been devastating to our nation and our residents. What impact has the coronavirus had on our community, and what steps will you take to help our community moving forward?
We've worked very diligently to educate the people on public safety. The council adopted an emergency ordinance allowing our city manager to buy medical and emergency supplies to combat the COVID pandemic as much as possible. Education is critical. I had one doctor make a statement that we all will eventually catch COVID. So it's just a matter of time. Hopefully people, don't catch it soon until they figure out a vaccine or a better way of treating the disease. But public education is critical, reminding people to social distance, wear your masks. If you have a compromised immune system or health concerns, stay home. By all means, stay home and protect yourself, your family, and your neighbors. If you're healthy, then do what you need to do to continue survival, I guess is what I would say.
Along the same lines, what would you do to advocate and or support businesses so they can open indoor operations safely?
Again, public education. We have several programs within our city where we're assisting businesses and citizens with education, with supplies, with information. We are encouraging people to do what they need to do. We don't want businesses to close, but we also don't want them to be in danger. We don't want them to endanger their employees or their customers. But we understand the dilemma that they're in. I mean, people need income, they need jobs, they need to survive, they need to have a livable wage, and that's impossible when you shut everything down. We have a website that offers assistance to businesses. Gosh, my mind has gone blank. I can't think of all the different programs that we have right now, but if you visit our Chino website, there are resources on the website that businesses can partner with. Also, the Chamber. The Chamber is a great resource for businesses to network through as well.
Thank you. The County of San Bernardino has labeled systemic racism a pandemic. What role does the city of Chino have in addressing systemic racism?
We put a lot of money into training. We were one of the first agencies to enact principle-based policing training, which is now, I believe, required through cadets when people go through the police academy. They're actually required to take that training now. We're actually offering that again in October. It addresses implicit bias. It obviously is not encouraged by the city at all. It's discouraged, and it's our human resources department is trained in how to handle cases that come up if anyone has a complaint. It's not tolerated in our community at all, and I don't think you see it in our population, in our public community, as well as the city hall.
Thank you. What is the role of the city council on issues related to homelessness and mental health?
Oh, gosh. We have so many programs available. Homelessness is quite an issue. Part of it is because of a court case in Boise, Idaho. I think it was Martin versus Boise, in which the court, I'm not saying this right, but the court determined you cannot remove a person from a public piece of land unless you have a homeless shelter to send them to. So we're not able to relocate people like we used to when we get a call and say, you know, there's a homeless person at this corner, can you make them move? Well, we can't. So we have assets that we use to help people, and it's a partnership between the police department, community services, and SWAG, which is the Social Work Action Group. And the SWAG is made up of business people, community members, nonprofits, and they actually make contacts with homeless people to provide them with services, food. They offer shelter, clothing, medical assistance. So, and they'll visit people every day if necessary, trying to offer them help to get them into a place that is safe. It's not safe for people to be out on the streets like that. But again, legally, we're constrained on what we can do. If someone does not want help, they do not want mental health counseling or drug counseling, we cannot force them to go into a program.
The next question. The city of Chino is mandated to develop over 6,500 dwellings in the city for the next regional housing needs allocation, sixth cycle. How do you plan to address this mandate?
Gosh. You know, as I mentioned, that's an issue now. Over the last 5 years, I think we built a little over 3,000 housing units. I think they're actually mandating closer to 6,900 units, Will. Again, that's market-driven. We have a general plan. We have a zoning map. Land is privately owned. We do have about $10 million that we can partner with other agencies to try to build low-income housing. We built a beautiful development down by Chaffey College with Ridge Housing. We're looking to partner with another agency to see if we can build some more low-income units. But to mandate a certain number of units to be built when it's market-driven and it's up to the developers to build the units, it makes it very difficult. They're mandating things on us that we only have a certain amount of control.
Recently, the JCPenney store located in the Rancho del Chino shopping center closed permanently. Likely, there will be more large department stores to follow, leaving large vacant buildings throughout Chino. What is your plan or strategy to ensure that shopping centers throughout Chino remain utilized?
Well, as you know, the whole brick and mortar building industry and shopping centers, everything is changing now that people are using online merchandising through Amazon and some of the others. That is the trend now, and so a lot of the brick and mortar stores were closing even before COVID hit. We work closely with the shopping center managers and owners to encourage them if they need to modify the building and maybe make the space smaller and encourage maybe medical. Whatever we can do to help them repurpose those buildings, we will do. But again, it's controlled by the people that own the shopping centers and the management. will work very cooperatively with them to try to attract businesses to fill those buildings.
Next, what is your stand on residential development and Measure M?
Measure M applies to the old, I'll say old part of town, not the preserve. It was passed because the citizens were very, very concerned with builders coming in and changing densities, increasing the densities. Case in point is the development north of the Avocado House. That was actually a Measure M issue. The advertising for that particular development was misleading, and people thought it would be a nice development. It was marketed as low income, low and moderate income for first-time home buyers. It had pictures of open spaces and all of that. Then it was built, and the people were very, very upset. I believe that our community wants a variety of housing and not what I call all stack and pack. We need apartments, we need condominiums, we need some smaller units, but we also need other types of housing for people to move into. Measure M applies to the old part of Chino, the pre-preserved part of Chino. And it will be up to the citizens to overturn that and do away with it if that's what they choose.
Thank you. So what are your thoughts on climate change? What strategy would you implement in Chino to reduce greenhouse gases?
We have a plan already that's implemented, and it ties into development when development occurs. There are numbers of carbon monoxide emissions that businesses have to comply with when they build. Climate change, I think, personally, it was inevitable. It was going to happen anyway. I believe that our pollution has accelerated it, but if you go back in history, the pendulum swings, and we've gone through an ice age and a hot area, and it changes naturally on its own anyway, but I think we have accelerated it. We encourage electrical vehicles. We've put in some electrical charging stations. Omnitrans has changed many of their buses to CNG as well as electric. So we encourage it, but again, on the downside, it's also funding related, and not everybody can afford to go with the electrical vehicles or CNG.
Thank you. The next one's a rather general question, but it's important. What ideas do you have to bring revenue to the city?
Gosh, bringing businesses back is critical. Also, public safety is critical so that homes are built and sold. Of course, we only get about 10% of what you pay in property taxes. If your property taxes are about $10,000, we get $1,000. So people think it all comes to the city, but it doesn't. But property tax revenue, sales tax revenue is critical. We're always watching expenses and trying to be as frugal as we possibly can, watching how we spend money. But healthy businesses, healthy citizenry, good housing stock, safe communities, that all works together to create fiscal stability.
Thank you. This is the final question, and it gives you an opportunity to speak positive of the city. What are 2 or 3 things you see the city of Chino doing well, and why?
That ties directly to our citizenry. Chino's a special place, and I think anyone who works here or lives here sees that readily. It's a partnership between government and the citizenry. People are engaged. We're very blessed that we have a multi-generational population. We have grandparents, parents, kids. We have people that move and come back because it's a special community. So, well, that's an easy question. We're just a blessed community. We have a variety of people. We're balanced with all kinds of different, we just have a little bit of everything. And that makes Chino a very, very special place. And we're a very caring community. When there is a need, say a family in distress or, a house burns down, some horrible thing happens, the community comes together. Case in point, the people that are out of work right now and need food. We have Isaiah's Rock working with the city of Chino because they use our property. Through donations, they feed and provide food to 800 to 900 cars a week. That's phenomenal. That's a giving, caring community. We have Food for Life. We have the Neighborhood House. You have Isaiah's Rock, and many of the nonprofits and the churches get together and help people. It's just an amazing community. Eric, put your cards down.
Thank you very much. That wraps up the questions we had for you tonight. Thank you very much. We're now at the point where we ask you to give us a closing statement.
Okay.
You have 2 minutes.
Okay. Thank you, Chino Valley Chamber, for hosting this forum where me, the candidate for the office of mayor, have had an opportunity to voice my opinion and my concerns. I've served on the Chino City Council for over 35 years, and I'm proud of what we've done. We've grown into a beautiful community that not only prospers in good times, but holds our own during difficult times. The challenges we face continue to be fiscal stability, maintaining our quality of life, and public safety. Our growth, however, has brought new challenges, one of which is housing diversity and options, and I believe it's time for the City Council to accept this challenge boldly, quickly, and openly. You, our community, should have a say in future housing development. The COVID pandemic has also brought on new challenges, and we need to face these challenges head-on as well. We need our businesses open. We need to get back to living productive lives, but at the same time with caution and compassion for each other. Chino's a remarkably caring community, and I have no doubt that working together we'll survive this pandemic and emerge stronger and better. I've always maintained an open door policy. In fact, our phone numbers are publicly available. I'm open to your thoughts and ideas and welcome your calls. Chino's a great community, not because of any individual or specific group or entity, but because of the many partnerships between us all. This is our home. Once again, thank you for your trust and support. It's been an honor to serve this great community, and I would love to continue. So please vote for Unishiloa on November 3rd. And there he goes with his cards again.
Well, thank you, Mayor Eunice Uloa. This was an unusual situation tonight where you had the opportunity to debate yourself, but I think you agreed with yourself most of the time, and it worked out just fine. It's obvious from the information you shared that you're very committed to the city of Chino, and on behalf of the Chino Valley Chamber of Commerce, we thank you and wish you all the best in the upcoming election.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you. At this time, we will be going on a short recess. Our Chino City Council candidate forum will begin shortly. Hello and welcome back. We're now moving on to the Chino City Council candidate forum tonight. We have 6 candidates running for City Council, and we are fortunate to have 5 of them with us this evening. I would now like to introduce the candidates in the order they will be responding to questions. The candidates were randomly assigned positions prior to the forum. Following candidates: from District 1, Paul Rodriguez. Also from District 1, Christopher Flores. From District 4, Karen Comstock. Brandi Jones. Erskine Dunson. And the format this evening includes a 2-minute opening statement from each candidate, and then we will move on to a question and answer session, and then a 2-minute closing statement. The opening statements can be 2 minutes or less. We have a timekeeper. Eric here will keep you informed of the time remaining via the blue, green, yellow, and red cards. The blue card indicates 60 seconds are remaining. Green card means 30 seconds are remaining. Yellow card means 10 seconds, and the red card means stop. If you are in the middle of a sentence, you may complete the sentence and then please stop. Let's get started with opening statements. Candidate Paul Rodriguez, your opening statement, please.
My family roots go back over 100 years. My grandparents raised their 12 children here and built a business providing pipes to the local dairies, agricultural farms, and the water systems of the city of Chino. I was born here and have lived here all my entire life. Chino holds a special place for me. in my heart and soul. And I'll do everything in my power to protect and preserve our great community. Chino is a great place to grow up, where families can raise their children, know their neighbors, and worship freely. At the age of 10, I began playing the organ for St. Margaret Mary Catholic Church and committed to that engagement for 52 years. My wife, Doreen, and I, both retired educators, have raised our 5 children. I was a former counselor at Don Lugo High School and a teacher at E.J. Marshall for many years. That is why I have been so honored to serve the city of Chino and wish to continue to help shape a bright future for our great city while honoring its heritage. I have seen what the city was and what it is now, and what I am excited about what it could be in the future. My education includes doctorate in leadership, Master of Arts in education, Master of Arts in musicology, Master of Science in school counseling, a Bachelor of Arts in music, and a Bachelor of Arts in classical philosophy with honors. Serving on the council has given me an enormous experience and knowledge. I have worked on as liaison with League of Cities, with the National League of Cities, which with the REAL initiative, nonpartisan, which represents over 200 million people throughout the nation, and meets the different challenges that we all face, not only here, but across the nation. I worked also with SCAG, having received my 4th presidential nomination, and I serve on the Community Economics and Human Development portion of the committee. I also am part of SCAG's ETS, which is the Emerging Technology Systems. SoCal statistically informed information and future statistical information is projected that 50% of our individuals between 18 and 40 years old live with their parents. Also by
Your
2040.
time is up, sir.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Christopher Flores, your opening statement.
Hi, good evening, residents of Chino. My name is Christopher Flores, and before I begin, I just want to take this opportunity to first thank God. Without Him and His power, I wouldn't be here in this position today. I want to thank Him for putting some courage and some wisdom in me to be in this position today. Secondly, I want to thank Chino Valley and the Chamber of Commerce for hosting this forum. There are a lot of residents here in the city of Chino who've heard of my name, but who've never seen me, my face, and so here I am. With that being said, 3 years ago, I graduated from Cal State University, Los Angeles with a degree in philosophy and communications. What I like to say is that my philosophy degree taught me how to think, and my communications degree taught me how to communicate what I'm thinking. When I graduated from Cal State LA, I got into the real world and I got a full-time position at a family law firm. I had a great experience there. I started understanding legal proceedings, and that's where I got a lot of my experience in understanding, again, legal proceedings. I also had at the same time, I got my real estate license, and that's kind of what I've been doing for the last couple of years, is working at a law firm and selling real estate. And with that being said, one thing I would like to mention is I want to communicate to our Latino population out there. Me llamo Cristóbal Flores, y yo quiero que las personas que están mirando este video ahorita, que ustedes van a tener una representación aquí en este City Council, y ustedes van a tener una voz aquí en este City Council Chambers también. I look forward to representing District Number 1. I look forward to representing the city of Chino, again, District Number 1. I think our city council position can use somebody new with new ideas, and just somebody who's ready to truly roll up their sleeves and just ready to get to work, whether that be knocking on doors, whether that be, again, just being the voice for our city here in the city of Chino.
Thank you, sir. Now we'll move on to the District 4 candidates, and we will start with the opening statement of Karen Comstock.
Thank you and good evening. By way of introduction, I'm Karen Comstock, and I started volunteering at the Chino Police Department as a teenager while I attended Don Lugo High School. When I graduated, I was hired as a police cadet and enjoyed a lengthy career with the Chino Police Department. I retired honorably in July of 2019 as the department's first female chief of police. I am both proud and grateful to have been raised and mentored by many community members, teachers, coaches, neighbors, and to serve as a positive example of a community raising a young woman. These influences inspired me to dedicate my life to public service right here in Chino. I have literally volunteered hundreds of hours to this community because I wanted to give back what was so kindly and freely given to me throughout my career. I believe that holding a position of public trust or office is not about serving myself, but rather my priority has been in the past and in the future will be to serve the people of Chino. I worked as a police officer for over 30 years, and in this role I was trusted to provide the service of delivering public safety to the Chino community. My career, combined with my extensive volunteer work in the city of Chino, has provided me the opportunity to demonstrate a proven record of being honest, reliable, and committed to serving the people of Chino. Serving as the chief of police required me to work closely with the city manager, every department director, the city members of the city council, and the residents and business owners of Chino to deliver effective governing. My professional experience has provided me with knowledge of nearly every aspect of local government, including participating in the comprehensive annual budget preparation process. I now believe that my professional experience, combined with my long-term commitment to serving and volunteering this community, makes me a highly qualified candidate to serve as your next city council member. I've been serving Chino in some capacities, either a volunteer or as an employee for most of my life. My parents, my aunt and uncle, my cousins, my many friends and professional acquaintances live and work in nearly every aspect of Chino, and Chino is my hometown. I care about this community and the people, and I hope to be your next District 4 council member. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Your opening statement, Brandi Jones.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Brandi Jones. My family and I moved to the great city of Chino about 2.5 years ago. I moved here with my husband and my 2 children. Prior to moving to Chino, we lived in the South Bay. We also worked in the South Bay, and we decided to move further out to hopefully find better opportunities for our family. I have spent the last 2 years obtaining my master's in public administration at Grand Canyon University. Prior to that, I attended Cal State Fullerton, where I received my BA in kinesiology. I have spent 14 years in the oil and gas industry, where I've gained extensive experience and knowledge in community engagement, communications, events coordinating, training in knowing how to have difficult conversations. And so it's really my passion to be able to connect with people and represent the great diversity that exists within our city. I hope to be the candidate, I hope to be your, I'm so sorry, I'm nervous. I hope to be the council member elected here this year. If I am, my intent is to ensure that I represent everyone. My goal and my passion is really to represent equity and fairness and transparency. Thank you.
Thank you. Erskine Dunson, your opening statement, please.
Hello, everyone. My name is Erskine Dunson, and I'm here to ask for your vote to be the representative from District 4. The reason I'm here is because when I first moved to the city 5 years ago, I noticed a lot of things were not being accomplished in the city as far as my community pertained to my community. There was a lot of anger, there was a lot of outrage at the city, and a lot of city leaders who pretty much ignored the area. And I think the moment hit a boiling point for me when I was driving home from work. My wife's new car, and we had rain, and it was, I call it biosludge. It was just running out from the dairy, you know, just something you expect in a third world country, and I'm seeing it here in my own neighborhood. And I was just disgusted and outraged by it, you know, that we didn't have a proper infrastructure to just take storm drainage water, you know, out, you know, and you know, I've served my country in 15 years in the military, and I'm a communication infrastructure specialist. And my main job at work is to build communication infrastructure, build it logically, build it soundly, and build it effectively. And I didn't see this in my community. I didn't see the leadership of the city council probably had the ability to do it because like one of the other people just said, you know, I think we need new blood in the city. I think we need a new vision. There's a lot of talk of old Chino versus new Chino. I think we should be talking about one Chino and how we can move the city forward together and make it work for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, and thank you all for your thoughtful opening statements. We're now going to move on to the question and answer portion of the program. Out of fairness and to encourage candid responses, the candidates have not received advance notice of the questions that will be asked this evening. The questions are a combination of those received in advance from the community and chamber members and those prepared by members of the chamber's legislative committee. Candidates, you will have 60 seconds, up to 60 seconds to answer each of these questions. As we did earlier, keep an eye on Eric and he'll keep you on track as far as how much time you have left. So let's begin with our first question, which will go to candidate Paul Rodriguez. The question. Well, these are moved down to 1 minute. 1 minute, right. 1 minute answers, please. The question, Mr. Rodriguez, is, what are the top 3 issues facing our city and how would you address them?
Okay. Top 3 issues. The first one would be that we've been affected quite heavily with COVID-19, and I have participated with the chamber, and what we identified and what I have read through the National League of Cities is that, one, that we are losing, we have lost a lot of jobs, so we need to be able to provide jobs for our youth, but also for our community. Our businesses have suffered in the sense that they have lost customers. So that's those 2 are together. There's a need too for growing infrastructure for Wi-Fi that we need to do. And then the third one would be to continuously work on traffic control, to be able to work on the congestion, working with the police to identify the areas of syncing our signal lights and so forth. Going back to Wi-Fi, I believe that we need a Wi-Fi system that will cover and add informational data, quick data to everyone here. And I'm working on that right now with the county and also with the chamber and also with the school board.
Thank you. Same question, Mr. Flores, top 3 issues facing the city.
Top 3 issues facing the city. I would say specifically District Number 1, because I think all districts face different issues. For District Number 1, which is the district I'd be representing, the top 3 issues that come to mind are number 1, land use. Number 1, the impact our small businesses here have faced. And number 3, the health orders and just the whole COVID-19 situation. How will I address those? Number 1, when it comes to land use, the goal, I'm a stickler for the general plan, and the goal is to, again, use the general plan when considering all development projects. I'm not against all development projects, only those that go against the general plan. Number 2, small businesses as a council member and as a, I would say, again, bringing in the youth to this city council member, I'm going to utilize social media to truly collaborate with all our small business owners. Back in August, the Chino Valley Chamber of Commerce hosted the restaurant August restaurant month, and just with that alone, time is up.
Thank you. Karen Comstock, same question. Top 3 issues.
Well, certainly the issue in the forefront right now is the COVID pandemic. I've never lived in a period of my life where 8 months ago, every single thing that we do is absolutely changed and been turned upside down. And this is affecting everybody. It's affecting every logistical support we have, from our schools to our food workers to our first responders. I mean, COVID has also just been so impactful to our small businesses. I mean, we're really, really struggling to just keep them alive. And I'm proud that the city did take some immediate actions and some emergency orders in order to help them. Secondly, we have issues with our infrastructure and development. We have a land use issue as well. There are certainly different demands on the north side of town. There are frustrations about the land use and the zoning. But conversely speaking, in my district, on the south end of town, that community needs development, and it needs it tremendously. And certainly, last but not least, certainly traffic circulation. We had a lot of success at the police department in using AI and technology, and I'd like to see us use smarter technology in the future to move traffic through the city. Thank you.
Thank you. Same question, Brandi Jones.
Sorry about that. My top 3 issues that I believe is facing the city is lack of resources, specifically for the area that I am representing, the south side of Chino, where we are lacking businesses. We don't really have shopping. Many of the residents in that part of the city usually leave the city limits to take care of their daily needs. The second one is infrastructure, where we need some help with our roads. We need to do some planning to expand our roads. And my third issue is support for small businesses. And the way that I would address that is by what I've already been doing through social media, is by supporting small businesses through just kind of lifting them up and giving them some recognition so that folks know that these businesses are open. It's sort of branching off of what the chamber already did earlier in the pandemic to bring awareness and attention.
Thank you. Mr. Dunson, same question, top 3 issues.
Well, I have to agree with a lot of the other people up here. I think the COVID-19 has placed a lot of strain on the system as it exists with the, it affected a lot of the revenue that the city receives in from fees and taxes, sales taxes. So, this will have to be addressed. I think there is going to be a budget shortfall or estimated somewhere in the range of $4 million. So there will have to be some serious looks at what we're going to think is important and what's not important. Infrastructure, and when I say infrastructure, especially on the south end of town, I mean the roads, I mean the schools, everything that makes a community go. Support for small businesses, giving them the tools that they need to be successful. That's all incorporated. And when you have a development plan that emphasizes, especially on the south end of town, distribution centers, and warehousing, you're going to have to really build around that and build the infrastructure necessary to support it.
Thank you. Thank you. So we have one more question that everyone will answer before we move on to the round robin Q&A. This question, and we'll start again with Paul Rodriguez. What is your experience as it relates to the city of Chino and other related experiences that make you the best candidate for your seat?
Well, to begin with, I am a lifelong resident of Chino. I've been involved with many nonprofit organizations. For example, I worked with Troop 207 from Our Lady of Guadalupe as a mentor and a leadership mentor for the Scouts. I've also worked with the different diversities that we have here: the DES, the Basque, the Irish, the Filipinos, and also including the Muslims, where I have literally gone to their places to introduce myself and to listen to their needs. I've also been I was an organist for St. Margaret's for 52 years, where I am also communicative with a Filipino group. I have also been involved with the nonprofits concerning how we are going to provide for the homeless and dealing with that, and also dealing with providing foods for people that need help. Isaiah's Rock, Neighborhood House, and many more of the other nonprofit organizations, especially also with the school board.
Thank you, sir. Christopher Rodriguez,
Flores.
what makes you the best candidate for your seat?
Well, what makes me the best candidate for my seat? Number one, so when it comes to volunteering for our city, I'd say most of my volunteer work has come through nonprofit organizations, specifically ministries here within the city. I think that's important because a lot of our ministries here within our city do emphasize our feeding our homeless and sheltering our homeless, and I know in District Number 1 that is a top issue here within the city. When walking the streets, extensively walking the streets over the past, I'd say 2.5 months now, one common issue I come across is that the area between south of Riverside and north of Schaefer does not get a lot of love, and a lot of those community members are Spanish speaking. So one thing I know I will bring to the council is an emphasis on our Spanish speaking community here within the city. Other than that, I know there are a lot of organizations here within the city that are, well, let me give you an example. No More Locked Doors organization here within the city. I know that's an organization that focuses on our youth who, time's up.
Thank you. Karen Comstock.
Well, one of the things that makes me exceptionally qualified for this position is just my previous experience in serving the police department for over 30 years, and particularly rising and breaking through that glass ceiling to be the chief of police. And as the chief, I was responsible to serve the entire community and its demands. And what I understand is that what's important to the preserve is certainly different than what's important to the west side of town or to the downtown community or to our Latino community or even to some of our faith-based communities. And I work closely with all of them, with our Muslim communities and our churches. So the other side of me is I'm very compassionate. While I had to be a law and order person, I'm bold and courageous as the chief of police. For anybody that knows me, is I have a desire to listen and collaborate with people in order to solve problems. And I understand the city as a whole because of my larger experience in serving the community. So I want this opportunity because I want to return to a leadership role in the community and continue to serve it and continue to lead it into a future that we can all be proud of in the future and provide it with good governing.
Thank you. Brandi Jones, same question.
Sorry, thank you. My experience within the city is limited in terms of the government landscape. However, my experience comes from my education, going back to school to receive my MPA. I've done a lot of studying and research on policy implementation, the inner workings of government. And then my background, coming from the oil and gas industry, where I've done a lot of work in diversity and inclusion, gives me the ability to lead with passion, to lead with empathy, to be able to connect with people. My goal is always to listen first to the public. That is my chief driver, is to serve the community.
Thank you. Same question, Erskine Dunson.
Well, if I didn't think I was the best person for this candidate, I would not be here. I would be watching Monday Night Football, actually. The reason I think I'm the best person is because I'm an effective, ethical leader that knows how to get things done. I spent 15 years in the military, and thus, if you go down to March Air Reserve Base, that's what they'll tell you, done to get things done. I've seen a lot of effective leadership in my life, and I live in probably maybe 15 cities, and I would probably rate, Chino's not at the bottom, but it's pretty close. And not saying that the people in the city aren't, the leaders, I like them. I would invite them over for barbecues and stuff like that. But as far as being effective for their entire city and moving the city forward, I don't think they have it. And I think they need new leadership in here. And I think I'm the person for the job.
Thank you, sir. For the round robin segment of the program, candidates will each receive a unique question. Please pay attention to the questions not asked of you so that you may include them in your closing statements if you wish, or if time permits, to address at the end of the Q&A session. So we will begin the round robin. We'll go in reverse order and go back to Mr. Dunson. And the question is, COVID-19 has affected our businesses. What would you do to reinvigorate business in Chino?
Well, one thing I would do as a whole to reinvigorate business in Chino is we have a lot of fees, business license, fire, zoning, permits, and all this stuff like that, and it costs money. I think for the first year, especially for new businesses, I would try to waive those fees and give the businesses a break from a lot of the things. Maybe even look into subsidizing some of the other fees, such as trash and whatever, just to give them a helping hand. Also, I would try to reach out to other, economic development, like I think we have, what's the name of it? The Inland Empire Economic Development. Can't remember the acronym for it. Anyway, I would try to reach out to these organizations so they could reach out to the businesses and find other funding measures. I know the city and the federal government has a lot of funding programs out there, but there are also other like microloans and other crowdsourced fundings. I would probably try to find a way to introduce these things to the fray. Thank you.
Thank you. Brandi Jones, the question for you is, how would you describe the general plan? Is it a living document or a standalone document not to be changed, and why?
I definitely believe that our general plan is a living document. It definitely goes through a cycle where it needs to be changed. There are things that perhaps were added to the general plan that served the community well at the time that they were added, but as time goes on, as the community grows, things around us evolve, technology evolves, that plan no longer serves the community. And so it does need to be updated, it does need to be changed. I think it's also true with the housing that is a part of our general plan. Those are things that we sometimes get from other entities that sort of impose and tell us how our housing should be structured. And we have to make adjustments. So that's all a part of that plan being living.
Thank you. Speaking of housing, Karen Comstock, what are your thoughts on new housing projects that double or in some cases triple or quadruple existing guidelines for occupancy on a property?
Well, speaking of the general plan, it's a very complex document that actually deals with zoning and the housing element, which is updated annually. And one of my campaign platforms is that I intend to use the general plan when we're vetting new developments in order to determine its compatibility and to make sure that it's in compliance with zoning and density. You know, that's been a big issue for Chino because of some of the infill projects that we have had here in Chino. But when it comes to housing, I think we should have something for everybody. I think there should be something for seniors. I think there should be something for for people that are renting, for people that are first-time home buyers, and I think there should be something for people who want a piece of land and be able to stretch out and build a little house and have a pool in the backyard. So we do have a diverse stock of housing in our community, but the future demands are going to be difficult for us to meet because of some of the legislation that's come along with housing. And the bottom line is, I support the general plan, but I also know we have challenges ahead of us when it comes to meeting our housing needs.
Thank you. And Christopher Flores, please describe the fiscal budget of the city of Chino and how your role as a city council person would deal with that budget.
Well, number one, I would start off by saying that I know this year, due to the COVID crisis, our budget did take a hit. However, I do stand by our, number one, our city council, who have done a great job at managing our budget, and working with our city manager, I know they take a prudent approach to handling our budget here within the city. And my goal as a city council member is to keep taking that same prudent approach. I wouldn't fix anything that's not broken, and I guess I would also like to include that when it comes to adding revenue, right, for the future here for the city, there are different revenue sources that I would like to introduce, specifically on when it comes to media and technology. I know there's other resources that can be introduced to the city that I as a council member would like to introduce.
Thank you. And Paul Rodriguez, what is your opinion on broadband access for the community?
Excellent question. I've been working with the county and also with San Bernardino County, as I said, with the school board and also with the Chamber of Commerce and also with Oracle, because I believe that the COVID-19 has shown us that there's a different way of data-driven information that we need to give out to the residents. And we are working on this right now. We're going to be gathering as a study group to see what the feasibility is, where we go in this direction, and then we can apply it to the needs of all the residents. We have to move into the 21st century. We have to be able to communicate with data-driven information that's going to be accessible not just to students, but to businesses and to all the residents. So the plans are already in the move. I'm moving in that direction already.
Thank you. So we'll come back around to Erskine Dunson with the next question, and that is, what is the role of the City Council on issues related to crime?
I think the role of the city council is to pretty much provide a vision oversight for our public safety officials. In the city of Chino, I think we've done a good job in the past. Karen did an excellent job when she was the police chief, and Mr. West does a good job. West Simmons, that's his name, does a good job right now. But I think you have to be responsive to the people, and I really think that the city council, as long as my man said earlier, as long as it's not broke, don't fix it. But I do feel like the city council should provide some kind of oversight to make sure that it's being effective in their job, that they're addressing the needs of the people. And as long as that's taking place, I think that they should let the professionals handle their job and do their job.
Thank you. And Brandi Jones, the next question for you is traffic congestion is a concern here in this city. What ideas do you have to address traffic?
My ideas about addressing traffic is first to expand the roads. So I think we sort of talked about earlier the congestion that happens down in the south part of our city, where residents exiting the 71, they tend to wait in long lines to be able to make it onto Pine. We have issues where we're also competing with residents who are driving in to their homes in Eastville. So there's a lot of work that needs to be done in order to expand our roads and limit traffic. I mean, we live in Southern California, first of all, so traffic is going to be what it is. But as a city council, we can do more to help alleviate some of the congestion by expanding the roads.
Thank you. And the next question, Karen Comstock. Some commercial centers in Chino have not been maintained, and they're poorly monitored and have a lot of vacancies. As an elected council member, how would you reinvigorate these areas and bring new business back? What resources, entities, and steps will you take?
Well, this was actually a problem when I was the chief of police. We certainly do have some disparity in some of our aging shopping centers, particularly on the north side of town. And some of that is because those landowners who have ownership of some of those shopping centers we've had a hard time working with them as the city in order to get them to come to the table and really be good partners with us about economic development. One thing I do know is we have a staff that's clearly dedicated to bringing new business to Chino. They're very hardworking and they've been successful. But when it comes to economic development right now in the shopping centers, I would say our first priority is to keep actually our small business owners afloat right now because of the pandemic. But we certainly can't neglect our responsibility and our obligation to also recruit new businesses to Chino. And part of that piggybacks on making sure the city stays safe, making sure that business owners want to bring their business to Chino. And I'm excited about the core we're going to build down in the preserve. We haven't built that type of shopping center in a long time. I think it's going to be a great opportunity for us.
Thank you. Christopher Flores. The COVID-19 pandemic has been devastating to our country and to local residents. What impact has the coronavirus had on our community, and what steps will you take to help our community moving forward?
Well, I would answer it this way. It's a two-part answer. Number one, it's affected our business owners, and number two, it's affected our residents. When I speak of our business owners, many of them have shut down. A lot of our business owners lost employees, and some businesses here have even gone out of business. So number one, I would be in support of doing whatever I can as a council member to, number one, stand behind our business owners and do what a lot of them are asking. Let's reopen our businesses. Number two, a lot of our residents, specifically our senior citizens, I know are being affected by these stay-at-home orders. And I would stand behind our residents and our business owners who, when walking the streets extensively, have been saying we need to reopen with safe measures. But again, reopening is a part of the plan. And again, I would stand behind our residents and our business owners and be that voice for them to again express the idea of reopening our businesses here within the city of Chino.
Thank you. Paul Rodriguez, we're going to go in reverse order again, so you're going to get two questions this time.
Okay.
First question for you is sort of along the same lines as the last one. What would you do to advocate and/or support businesses so they can open indoor operations safely?
That's a good question. What I have, I'm starting already is a job fair that will increase awareness for businesses within the city. I've been working with the Chamber of Commerce and also with the county, San Bernardino County Workforce Development, and that will be taking place in January of this year, not only once, but also with the Chamber and then with the county. So that's one way of exposing the businesses that we have here in the city of Chino. Secondly, I think we need to look at the businesses and be able to be more friendly and look at the municipal codes to look at how we're going to deal with business licenses, how we can help them to be reassigned or be reopened. I've worked with Norma Torres, and she will be looking into CARES Act to be able to give us more information and money to reopen and develop the businesses within our communities. And a lot of social media, a lot of information that needs to be used out there, getting the word out.
Thank you. And the next question is, the County of San Bernardino has labeled systemic racism a pandemic.
Yes.
What role does the city of Chino have in addressing systemic racism?
Another good question. I was on the panel with Chamber of Commerce, and it was discussed heavily. First of all, systemic racism, we need to remember that it does exist. And we need to address the idea that, think of it as the United States Constitution, that our democracy is a way of continuously in a process for increasing betterment for all people in the United States. That means everyone. When we look at our flag and it says justice for all, liberty and justice for all, that's what it means for everyone. And we need to work together with everyone to be able to show equity. The National League of Cities has a real initiative that means respect, equity, and leadership. So as a leader, we need to be able to give that word out to all the people so that everyone is able to understand that it's not protest, it's the idea of showing equity and fairness for everyone.
Thank you. And back to Christopher Flores. The question is, what is the role of the City Council on issues related to homelessness and mental health?
Well, number one, I will start off by saying that the role of a city council member when it comes to those issues is, number one, being aware that the issue is going on and addressing it with our residents. Again, I have volunteered with different nonprofit organizations here within the city who specifically target, our homelessness. And I know here within the city of Chino, we have a great quality of life team with our Chino Police Department, and I'm very happy that our city of Chino has partnered with our SWAG organization as well. I have numerous encounters with both organizations, and I think it's a serious issue. It's a serious issue, and what I would do as a city council member to step in is, again, serve as an advocate and truly, number one, but communicate truly to our residents, hey, this is exactly what Chino is doing, because when I'm walking the streets, a lot of residents don't know exactly what's going on. So I think from the very start, at least communicating exactly what Chino is doing to to mitigate that issue.
Thank you. And Karen Comstock, the city of Chino is mandated to develop over 6,500 dwellings in the city for the next regional housing needs allocation 6th cycle. How do you plan to address this mandate?
Well, this goes back to some of the legislation that's coming our way from the state and building housing that is inclusive to every member of our community. I stated earlier that I think there should be something for everybody in Chino when it comes to housing. These mandates, the RHNA mandates, from my understanding, have traditionally been very, very difficult to meet. My experience as the chief of police, when the state issues mandates without proper funding, it's very, very difficult for us to meet those mandates. So that's one of the things I look at these state RHNA mandates. While we would like to build a lot of these houses, it's nearly impossible, almost unattainable for us to come up with the labor and the trades, and quite frankly, the space, the open space in our community any longer. What I would rather see the state do is meet us halfway, offer us something in order to accomplish these goals. But that the bottom line is, we as a staff have to do our best, because some of our funding and our housing funding is attached to it. We have to do our best to meet them, but also understand it's going to be very challenging and a tall order issued to us by the state.
Thank you. Brandi Jones, Next question is, recently, the J.C. Penney store located in the Rancho del Chino shopping center closed permanently. Likely, there will be more department stores to follow, leaving large vacant buildings throughout Chino. What's your plan or strategy to ensure that shopping centers throughout Chino remain utilized?
Well, it's definitely important that we maintain shopping resources, that we make those resources available for our residents. We have to work with other retailers to try to get them into our city by making our retail spaces attractive, making it easily accessible for them, to let them know that the space does exist within our city limits. I think that having something on the internet where we are able to sort of showcase what we have available, what we offer to businesses could be helpful. That's pretty much my thoughts on that in a nutshell. This is going to be a difficult time coming out of COVID in terms of keeping businesses within our cities. So we have to just try to do the best that we can to find businesses to come into the city, new businesses to come into the city.
Thank you. Erskine Dunson, what is your stand on residential development and Measure M?
Yes, Measure M was a measure that was put in place and voted on by the voters to give the residents the ability to have a say in their zoning. I'm a proponent on it, and as one of the other people up here commented about the state with making housing mandates, I would be very resistant for those mandates because, like you said, if it's not attached with the funding and resources to be able to build and meet these needs, I don't think it should fall on the community to subsidize this kind of building. I think it should be up to the residents how their community look, and I don't think any effort to circumvent that, the will of the people, I wouldn't support it. That's it.
Thank you, and we'll go in reverse order again so you get the next question as well. What are your thoughts on climate change? What strategy would you implement in Chino to help reduce greenhouse gases?
Yeah, funny you ask this question because when I was looking at the general plan, they have that area in the general plan that discusses this, and I was like, I don't know how we're going to meet this plan with building all these distribution centers and all this trucking, with the FedEx and I guess I think we have the burger place that's coming here too. I think for a city the size of Chino, or any city, even the state size of California, we're going to have minimal impact. So we're going to have to do the best we can as far as using clean energy when we can, when it's effective, when it's economical. As far as with our bus, well, we don't really have buses here, but with our city vehicles. But I think as far as a city like Chino, we'll have minimum impact. So I don't think there's too much we could do other than trying to conserve energy when we can, be efficient as possible with how we conduct business and use resources, basically.
Thank you. So, Brandi Jones, what ideas do you have to bring more revenue to the city?
To bring more revenue, first of all, I think that the city already receives a good amount of revenue through some of the businesses that we have here in the city, as well as receiving revenue through housing, all of the new development that's going up across the city. To bring new revenue to the city, I think it goes back to something that we talked about earlier, which is about bringing in new shopping centers. So for instance, the center that's coming to the south side of Chino will bring more revenue to the city, encouraging small businesses or residents to open small businesses could bring more revenue to the city, sort of making that process a little bit easier for folks to open up the businesses will also help. That's pretty much what I believe we have or I can do to help bring more revenue to the city.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Karen Comstock, what are 2 or 3 things you see the city of Chino doing well and why?
Well, one of the things that the city of Chino does extremely well is actually the public safety component. One of the reasons that Chino is a desirable place to live, work, and play is because we enjoy, a relatively low crime rate compared to some of our neighboring communities. And public safety is a cornerstone of a good quality life. I often told people when I was the chief of police, if you had to go to CVS at 2 o'clock in the morning, I want you to be able to go there and be safe and be able to get back home to your family without worry of any harm coming your way. The other part that the city of Chino does really, really well is our programming. I realize our programming for our young people, our seniors and our adults, our parks and recreation programs, and our counseling is bar none. It's second to none to anybody in the area. We have an abundance of social services here when it comes to our parks, our counselors, and programs for youth, which also has made us one of the 100 top cities for young people over the past several years, and we're very, very proud of that award. So our public services that we provide to our community and combined with our public safety component, quite frankly, makes Chino, in my opinion, top-notch.
Thank you. And Christopher Flores, every candidate says they will work to improve business retention. What is your formula to address business retention?
Number one, again, bringing youth into the city council. I would have to piggyback on again, bringing exposure to our businesses, particularly small businesses when it comes to social media. I mentioned it once before, and I just think this is absolutely huge. And I only say this because I'm kind of reiterating what a lot of business owners have been telling me, is that they would like more collaboration with, city officials when it comes to exposing their business. And I think that's something that I'm absolutely great at, and I think that's something that again, will bring business retention here within the city. I know there are some residents who do choose to go outside of the city to spend their money, and the goal would be in improving quality of life here in the city of Chino and bringing, again, livelihood here within the city of Chino. Is just using social media platforms to bring exposure and bring, I guess I can say happiness here within the city. Yeah.
Thank you. And Paul Rodriguez, the city council will only be successful if they can work together. How would you resolve conflict between yourself and another council member?
Very simple. We need to focus on the issues. We need to be stopping the name-calling, the bullying, because it is real. It does happen. And that is no call for that. As for myself, there's certain areas that I've had to be a little bit more vocal because I've been attacked quite a bit. But I know that's wrong, and I will correct myself at the next council meetings and councils before. Talk to each other. It's good to disagree, but to sit down and negotiate, just talk, make a plan, and we can move forward together in building the city into what it is and what it will be in the future. So I am going to do that.
Thank you. Now, earlier, you'll remember that we said that if we had time, we would give you a chance to respond to a question that another person was asked, and it does appear that we have time, and so we are going to give you all the opportunity to respond to a question that someone else responded to earlier. So we're going to come back around to you, Erskine Dunson, and what would you like to talk about?
I'm going to take the question that actually you asked me, because I don't think I answered it effectively, about the role of the city council and the police department. One of the roles I feel like the city council has with the police department is to make sure that they're well funded and they have the resources to do their job. If we don't have the proper revenue sources and proper resources, we can't have effective force. We have to also create an environment where the officers are happy, healthy, mentally, physically. If they get hurt on the job, we need to make sure that they're taken care of. If they have incidents where they need time off, it's a very strenuous job. PTSD is real. It's not only just for the military, it's for officers. They get it too. They meet a lot of times, they meet people at their worst point of their day or their life or whatever, and they have to deal with that kind of thing. So I think, taking care of our first responders and making sure they pretty much have the resources they need to do their job. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Brandi Jones, do you have a question you'd like to respond to from earlier?
I actually have a couple, but I think I'll take the one that I was just given to Mr. Rodriguez about addressing conflict across council. My response to that is, as long as everyone on the council has the responsibility and the duty to serve the people first, it should be fairly easy to resolve conflict. If we all have the same goal, which is to take care of our residents, to take care of our community, we shouldn't have any conflict. It should be about the people and the people only. Thank you.
Thank you. Karen Comstock.
I think I'm going to take the same question about conflict resolution. You have to understand that when people gather together as an executive leader, even amongst my command staff, when I was the chief of police, I had 11 sitting members in there, and we didn't always agree. And we had a lot of dissenting opinions in there and tough conversations. And it's okay to disagree as long as we do it politely in a dignified manner. But we have an obligation as the city members of the city council to work together in order to bring effective solutions to the community. And I will say, for the most part, I see this council up here working hard to do just exactly that. They may not always agree, they state their opinions, and then they move progressively forward. But what our constituent really wants to see is not a bunch of arguing. They want to see collaboration. They want to see teamwork, and most of all, they want to see results when it comes to governing our city. And this council has gotten results. We have a lot of work to do in this city, which is part of the reason I have the passion and the enthusiasm to come here and get things done. I did it as the chief of police, and now I want to do it as your city council member in a collective manner.
Christopher Flores.
Yeah, the question I'd like to address is what are 2 or 3 things the city of Chino does very well. The 2 things I want to focus on is our public safety and the housing that is provided to our Chino residents. Number 1, when it comes to public safety, as Karen Comstock mentioned earlier, I myself do feel safe when I'm walking to a Rite Aid at midnight or at 11 o'clock at night, and I think that's absolutely something that our Chino residents appreciate, and I guess would like to state this publicly, that that's something that I would like to continue doing, is making sure that our residents understand that when it comes to public safety, their needs are being protected. Parents and their children's, again, it's providing a safe environment and a quality of life here for our residents within the city of Chino. Number 2, another thing the city of Chino does well is, again, providing the right type of housing here for the city. There's a lot of residents, specifically in District Number 1, who like the idea of the American dream still, and they like the idea of having a front yard, backyard type style houses, and that is something that I will do as a city council member, is protect those rights, to give our parents and new homeowners the opportunity to have that front yard, backyard style house, home.
Thank you. Paul Rodriguez.
Okay. I'd like to start with the housing element that we have. We have to understand that the housing element is governed by state mandates that, as a councilman, we are obligated to follow. We take a pledge at the beginning to the U.S. Constitution, to the state constitution, that we will pledge, honor, and serve the laws of the land. So when it comes to the housing element, AB 101 is a law. It's not a hoax. I don't want the city to be fined $10,000 to $100,000. When it comes to housing, it's broken up into several ideas, in the sense that it goes from low income, and instead of housing, let's call it dwellings. 9,550 dwellings that we have to do for the homes. So we have to work with the experts to be able to do that. And also, our reserves are well over 127,000, 127% has grown for the last 10 years. So in other words, we have done very well with reserves.
Thank you very much. So the next question we're going to ask will be, you'll all have a chance to address this one. And we will start with you again, Paul Rodriguez. As a candidate, what would you do different from the incumbent predecessor if you are an incumbent? If reelected, what would you do, or would you do anything differently?
Well, first thing I would continue to be involved with SCAG, which is Southern California Association for Governments, to be able to work with facts, to be able to bring them back to the city and to the council to be able to discuss what is actually happening in Southern California, that affects our city, and it's also happening nationally. As an incumbent, I was also work very closely in making bridges with all the councilmen and council members, so be able to work collaboratively for the betterment of the issues that we deal with in the city. And lastly, I would work with them in developing and reviewing all the municipal codes that many of them have not been reviewed in over 40 years. So we need to look at that. And with business, to make business codes more friendly for businesses to come in.
Thank you. Christopher Flores, as a candidate, what would you do differently?
What I would do differently as a candidate, again, this is a twofold answer for me. Number one, when it comes to our residents, specifically in District Number 1, I would make sure that they understand that I'm gonna be an advocate for them when it comes to our housing. I'm gonna make sure that they know that, I'm gonna stick to the general plan and that it was addressed earlier, there's a parking issue and a traffic issue here within the city, and bringing high-density homes here within the city of Chino is only gonna, again, keep feeding into that issue. Number two, I think just simply when it comes to communicating with our residents, many residents aren't particularly involved here with city politics, and when it comes to distributing the information, understanding what exactly is going on here within the city of Chino, one thing I would do differently, it's quite easy, in my opinion, is sharing information, all the services that we have here in the city of Chino, using social media, because that is what everybody is using nowadays.
Thank you. Karen Comstock?
I believe at the executive level that everything rises and falls on good communication. And I experienced that as a department director at the police department, where my employees were informed and they knew the direction we were going and why we were going, the question behind the question. Boy, operations, sir, were a lot smoother. And what I would do differently than the incumbent that came before me is just make sure that first of all, that they have a voice on the city council, not just for their district, particularly in the south end of town, but I am elected to represent District 4, but I will represent all of Chino. And I had a demonstrated history of doing that as the chief of police. I listened to people when they contacted me. All hours of the day as the chief of police, my phone never got turned off. I answered people sometimes as late as 10 or 11 o'clock at night if I was still up and working. I commit to you to do the same, and I commit to the people to listen to them and collaborate with them and keep them properly informed of what's going on in their city. They may not like some of the answers or the information I have to give them. It may be disappointing to them because it may not be coming as quickly as they want, but good communication solves a lot of problems.
Thank you. Brandi Jones, same question.
Well, the first thing that I would do differently than my incumbent would be to be accessible. I will be the council member who my constituents can call. They will be able to contact me with any of their concerns, with any of their questions. I will be the council member who will listen to everything and to everyone. I will work to find the best resolutions for the community. I will not put my personal values ahead of what's best for the constituents, what's best for our community. I will work completely in a nonpartisan role into making sure that all of our residents are taken care of.
Thank you. Erskine Dunson.
Good question. I would probably do everything different. I felt like our representation with the last incumbent was ineffective. He didn't really truly represent the people of his district. And I had several conversations with him, and and that's probably why I'm running. I would be a voice for the people. I would be their tireless advocate, and I think that people, especially in a representative form of government, need to be represented. I felt like I was being taxed and not represented when I was down with Tom. So, that's what I do. It's pretty much everything. I'd be a tireless advocate for people. I would listen to them. I would voice their opinions on the council and just not sit here like a knot on a log. So, yeah, I do something. That's what I do differently. Thank you.
Thank you. And the next question will again go to all of the candidates, and we will start with you, Mr. Dunstan. What expectations do you have when it comes to service on the city council? How much time are you willing to devote?
It's funny. My wife, she was talking about this, and she knows how I am, like in my job. But I can get consumed and go down that rabbit hole. And if elected, I would want not only District 4, but Chino to be the best city in a model for Southern California and probably the world. And that's just how I am. I'm a team guy. I would work with the council on issues affecting the city as a whole. So, I would give as much time as necessary to get the job done. That's it in my statement.
Thank you. Brandi Jones, expectations and time?
My expectations for becoming a council member for Chino would be really just to be able to come in and be a forward thinker, to represent everyone that's in the city. I think that it would be great to be able to have the opportunity to work with some of the senior members of the council so that I can learn from them. I recognize that I do not have, this extensive background in the government landscape, and so having an opportunity to learn from them and to work with them would be an awesome thing for me. My ability to give time is not an issue. I will work as long as it takes. Whatever the need is to address the issue and find a resolution for our residents is what I will do. Whatever that time looks like is what I am willing to provide.
Thank you. Karen Comstock.
Well, when I was a captain into Chief Pruitt, I actually thought the chief did a great job mentoring and developing me to take over his job. And it's the age-old adage, you don't really know how hard another person's job is until you take it. And quite frankly, I expect this job to take a lot of time and a lot of work. And I'm fortunately in the position to be able to dedicate that time and that work. And I'm also pretty proud that during my time at the Chino Police Department, I had a reputation, amongst some of my employees that nobody would outwork Chief Comstock. So I know that reading council reports and digesting all that information is going to be very time consuming. And in addition to reading those staff reports every week, critically thinking about them and being prepared to come to the council meeting, prepared to ask appropriate questions in order to get the right resolution to problems. In addition to that, it's not just staff reports. It's attending community events and the different various assignments that are going to be assigned to us by the mayor. There are a multitude of different assignments that we have to have representation at the local and state level, which is also time consuming and will require for us to be away from our families. I'm ready to serve in that role. I've done it in the past, and I'm ready to do again as your council member.
Thank you. Christopher Flores.
Yeah, that's one question I do get asked a lot when I'm walking the streets, and this is my go-to answer all the time. I like to tell people that I currently right now I'm not married and I don't have any children, and that may be a good thing or a bad thing, and I like to look at it as a good thing. There's a lot of time I have on my hands. There's and all that time is just truly going to be given back to the city. Again, piggyback off of what Karen Comstock said, when it comes to, again, attending community events, I think that's absolutely huge, and that's something that I look forward to, something that I've been doing for the past year, and that is it's something I think our residents appreciate. Number two, when it comes to, again, preparing for staff reports and understanding that, again, as Karen Comstock said, when we come into these city council meetings, just understanding, being prepared, number one, and using my resources, whether that be our city manager or our city attorney, to ask questions before coming into the city council prepared. And again, just that's my biggest asset that I have on my side right now, is that I have time, and I think that's what our city needs.
Thank you. Paul Rodriguez.
Okay. The idea of leadership is not just leadership, but it's the idea of quality, effective leadership. And what I mean by that, best practice, meaning that you need to use critical thinking, communication, collaboration, creativity, and also understand the civic responsibility. So being retired, I have lifelong experiences raising a family, but now being retired, I'm able to go to conferences nationally at the National League of Cities that are dealing with the same type of issues that we are dealing with here in Southern California in Chino. Likewise with the League of Californians, I am a member, voting member, and also with many other conferences that I have attended to understand what is happening and bring it back so that we can be in dialogue with each other. Best practices is important, and I'm able to do that, and I'm doing that right now, reaching out and going out and understanding what everyone else is doing and understanding the challenges that all cities and towns are facing across the nation to bring it back here to Chino.
Thank you. Now, we will have one final question for all 5 of you, and then we will move on to closing statements. And so the final question, we'll start with you, Paul Rodriguez. It is, do you think it's important to have term limits for city council members?
Yes, I do. I believe that term limits, especially with the mayorship, when you have individuals that are in there 36 years, we should have a rotating basis to demonstrate a democracy that it could be, that everyone can share and be a leader, but not just a leader, be a quality, effective leader by being able to understand that democracy is the idea of showing equity and respect and fairness to everyone to be able to become mayor. It shouldn't be a lifetime appointment. It should be shared with all the councilmen. For example, Eastvale has this, and so does Chino Hills. I think that's the best way to do that. So it's a refiguring, I believe, of the council that needs to be done through agreement or some type of creativity.
Thank you. Christopher Flores, same question.
Yes, I do believe in term limits. I believe that, with having term limits here, again, within the city, it brings innovation over the course of terms. I believe it just keeps city council living and breathing, and there's not the same ideas being passed around through the city council and just the city in general. But I mean, ultimately, yes, I do believe in term limits, and my answer is not any more extensive than that. So that's it.
Thank you. Karen Comstock.
Well, I think I can make an argument for both. That when you have people that are in effective and good leadership positions, like we have with some of our council members, they've been effective and well liked and respected for many years, and did a great job over a long period of time in taking Chino to new levels of excellence. However, I think this is also a decision best left to the people. What does our constituency really want to see in leadership? Would they like to see term limits? And if so, I think we should talk about it and make a decision as to what's best for us. As you know, we recently went to districting. That has been a game changer for the city council. In some ways for the positive, in some ways for in making it more challenging. But I can also understand how effective leadership can run its course. And sometimes it's good for us to get a fresh idea of perspectives. But I certainly don't think we should downplay the importance of having institutional knowledge from people who have been in positions that understand how to govern well.
Thank you. Brandi Jones, term limits.
My short answer is yes. I agree that there should be term limits. The long answer is that as long as the term limits are sort of, offsetting each other so that we are not losing all of our wealth of knowledge and experience at the same time, term limits could be effective. I do think that it's important to bring in new members who are forward-thinking, who can bring in fresh ideas to support the needs of the community. So yeah, that's my answer. Yes.
Thank you. Erskine Dunson.
Yes, my answer is yes. I believe personally in term limits, but I think it should be left up to the voters in referendum. I think when you have people that sit in positions for a long time, it's not good for the city or the institution, just because you have tendencies that sometimes negative, sometimes good, that seem to crop up and exist, corruption and unethical behavior. So I think it would be a good thing, but I would rather leave it up to the voters in a referendum type thing. I wouldn't want to dictate the style of government we have. I think it's best left to the voters. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you all. We are now at the final stage of our City Council forum, and that is closing statements. Each of you will take up, or can take up to 2 minutes to make your final statement this evening. And as before, Eric will keep you on target time-wise. You have 2 minutes, and we'll come back to you, Paul Rodriguez, closing statement.
With District 1 is comprised of the oldest residents, and most of the people there in District 1 I went to school with, I went to church with, and they speak English. It's not Spanish. To begin with, 1 + 1 = 2. Imagine you are about to open a new business. Let's say a pizza place. You have spent months preparing, and now you have bought thousands of dollars worth of signs. You are going to put them up all over Chino to promote your new venture. Now you have taken the time and effort to secure prime locations for your signs by convincing those property owners that you have a quality business in mind. And they should let you place them in the right place. All your efforts have required a great deal of time and a great deal of money. Now imagine you place them all in locations, and then one day you wake up and the signs are gone. And to make matters worse, a vastly inferior pizza chain with a horrible reputation has placed your signs with theirs. Now, in fact, it has been known that this is not a way we do it in Chino. It's not democracy. The Chino police has already filed a report. It is considered a felony. A good neighbor has come forward with a video of the culprits, of the criminals that have done this, and I would hope that they would come forward to say what has been stolen. This is not good for Chino. And I would like to say that anyone connected with these signs should strongly consider getting out ahead of this investigation. And I want to say that my opponent has never voted in District 1, has only lived in District 1 for 7 months. This is from their owner that has told me, who runs Isaiah's Rock. Last time he voted was in 2008 in District 4. He had to write a completely new 501 that was because he didn't even know where he lived.
Thank you. Christopher Flores, closing statement.
Well, to the residents of Chino, I just want to say, again, I'm running because I think our city council can use somebody new with new ideas. And I would like to address that in 2008. I was in 8th grade. In 2008, I don't think I was able to vote. But with that being said, I moved into District Number 1 6-7 months ago, specifically because I think that I can serve as a better advocate for District Number 1 as opposed to, the residents who live in District Number 4. I relate to a lot of more people in District Number 1 just simply because of my age and because of my background. Number 2, I just want to say this. Somebody you meet today can have better intentions for you than somebody who, you've known for a very long time. And again, with that being said, residents of Chino, I'm here, I'm ready to roll up my sleeves, and I'm not here to point fingers at anyone, but just to get ready to work. And that's it.
Thank you. Karen Comstock, your closing statement, please.
Thank you, sir. In closing tonight, I want to thank the Chamber for hosting this forum, and I also want to compliment every single candidate here that is interviewed here tonight. As you know, running for City Council is a very arduous and difficult task, and I want to thank everybody for participating in the democratic process. To the people of Chino, I have demonstrated a work history as your former chief, and I have a long history of volunteering and community service that has been impactful to our community. I also have the passion and the desire to serve in this role as your next City Councilwoman. I want to serve and collaborate and listen to basically all of Chino, all of the people, all of our faiths, our children, our seniors, and our communities and neighborhoods to your specific needs. And this includes my constituency, my new constituency in the Preserve. I also intend to serve our business owners, our landowners, and the future residents and businesses we haven't met and will one day welcome to this great city that we call Chino. And I want to be a good team member to the city staff and members of the council in order to provide Chino with good government and to construct a positive future for our community that we can be proud of for many years. You can learn more about my campaign at comstockforchino.com. And then lastly, I sat on a lot of job interviews as the chief of police. And what I really wanted to hear candidates tell me is, why they wanted to do this job, why they wanted to come work for the Chino Police Department specifically. I needed to know what was in the heart of that candidate before I accepted them into our culture. And serving this community has just intrinsically been in my DNA. What I like to tell people is I learned as a young person that I enjoyed being a public servant. I enjoyed coming to work every day and serving the community of Chino. And it's not just something you can turn off after I retired as the chief of police. I want to come back to this role and give back to Chino because I want to see it be great for many, many years to come. I love Chino. It's my hometown, and I look forward to serving it as the next District 4 councilwoman in the future. I ask you all for your vote. I hope I've earned it tonight, and thank you for your time.
Thank you. And closing statement, Brandi Jones.
So through my nerves in my opening statement, I think that I may not have fully or effectively stated my goals and intentions. So I want to just take a moment to sort of restate and maybe reiterate what my intentions are for running for council. So my main intention is to represent the vast diversity that exists within our city. Our city makeup it consists of people of varying ethnicities, age, education levels, religious backgrounds, and we all have different needs. I am here to ensure that with all of our differences, this council provides equity and works to meet the needs of everyone. I have stated earlier that I believe that I am the candidate who has the energy and the passion to work as more of a liaison between our local government and the residents of the city. I believe that I can relate to people. I know that I will be the candidate who will be accessible. I will work across differences within our community and within this council to make sure that the primary goal remains the needs of the people.
Thank you. And your closing statement, Erskine Dunson.
Hello. I would like to thank everyone for being here, all the council members, sitting council members, and all the candidates, and Mayor still out there in the audience, and Zeb for getting this all together. The reason that I think I'm the best candidate and why I want to be here is because I want to represent the voters. Like I said, I never lived in an area where the voters felt so helpless and not represented by their city government. And I do believe this sincerely. I believe anyone that is elected in District 4 now will be better than what we had. I was actually excited when I found out one of the council people told me that Karen Comstock was running, because I liked her as the police chief. I thought she did a very effective job. Since then, I've been kind of disappointed in some things I feel like she's misled the public on, but I'm going to talk with her and tell her she doesn't have to do it. She just be honest about everything. She has an excellent story, and I think a lot of people would be receptive to it. And honestly, think if she would make a good person and a good councilman, such as Brandi would also. I think there are two phenomenal women. I think they would serve the public well. But at this point in time, I think I'm the best. I'll fight for the city. I'm a very logical, ethical leader. I've proven it time and time again, whether it was overseas or here at home. And I'm a tireless warrior, and I'll get the job done. So, the city, Chino needs an infusion of leadership, ethical leadership, with good values. I won't take, contribution for developers and that they have business with the city. I won't do it. I think it's a compromise of my values, and it's unethical. I'll be a person for the city, and I'll serve the city and I'll serve my community, and that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you all. Before we close, I would just like to say thank you to Eric Hasanoff for doing such a great job monitoring the time, and thank you all for complying quite well. I'd like to thank Zeb Wellborn, president of the Chino Valley Chamber of Commerce, for doing such a terrific job of putting this and other local forums together. I'd like to thank every one of the candidates who are here tonight running for city council. Thank you, thank you, thank you for being willing to serve. And on a personal note, I very much appreciate the civil and thoughtful discussion that you all displayed here tonight. On behalf of the Chino Valley Chamber of Commerce, I wish you all the very best in the upcoming election and beyond. And the forum is now concluded. Everyone, please vote. Thank you.
Thank you.